Hey everyone, this will be my first vlog. Bear with me, never done it. A lot of people recommended that I do it. Not sure how I entirely feel about it, but hey, I'm always up for a new challenge. So, let's see, where do I start? Well, a lot of people say my story is interesting. It starts off with me as a type 1 diabetic. I was diagnosed at age 6, and it was an interesting experience, to say the least. Many of my diabetic friends will completely understand that statement. The interesting thing that I remember distinctly about being told that I was diabetic was that I laughed at the doctor. And I've seen a lot of surprised faces when I've said this because, you know, I've worked with enough parents to understand how scary it is, you know, and I've just my entire diabetic family that I've known know the struggles that we have to deal with. But at age 6, when the doctor told me I was diabetic, I laughed. And I didn't laugh because I didn't believe him. I laughed because I knew it was something I didn't have to completely worry about all the time. Like there was something inside of me that was like, oh, okay, it's just another challenge. And when he looked me dead in the eye and he said, no, this is a lifelong disease. Like you're gonna have this the rest of your life. And I looked at him and I said, sure, okay. And I could tell that he didn't quite believe what I was saying, or that I did maybe he believed I didn't understand. But at age 6, I knew without a shadow of a doubt that I would overcome that type 1 diabetes. I don't know how. I don't know. There was no plan. There was no clue. There was just the sheer knowledge, that absolute knowing, like the equivalent of knowing the difference between up and down. Unless you have a separate story. Like you just know when you're standing up. You just know that you're going to get in your car. You know, but now take that to a grand level. I just knew I was going to overcome diabetes, or type 1 diabetes to be more precise. And that was age 6. Weird, right? So, growing up, I went through a lot of lows. You know, high school, I had a lot of high sugar levels, not the greatest moments of my life. You know, early adulthood. It's true that I was not the #1 rated role model for type 1 diabetic. You know, somehow, some way, many people believe that you have to perform in this manner in order to be the upstanding type 1 diabetic that can ever exist. And in the reality and in the big scheme of things, there is no such thing. And a lot of people need to understand that. It's a challenge we have to deal with on a daily basis. And there are way too many factors for any one diabetic to deal with. And what's funny is the factors that work for one person may not always work for the other. So there's no simple box to put every diabetic in and say, if you act like this, you'll be fine. Because it doesn't happen. I've actually known several friends of mine that are no longer with us who took really good care of themselves. To my knowledge, they were really good role model diabetics, type 1 diabetics. You know, and to move forward through all of those struggles in time, to keep this video short, by age 30, my kidneys failed. And I ended up on end-stage renal failure. I started dialysis. I actually woke up on my birthday, um, at age 30, in the emergency room with a giant needle in my femoral artery. That hurt. Oh, good lord! If I could recommend anything to people, avoid that. Just a little side note. um, but I ended up on dialysis, and I was on dialysis for several months. You know, a little longer than several months before I was put on the kidney pancreas transplant list. And I think this is one of the reasons why people want me to tell this story, because I ended up with a kidney and a pancreas transplant about 55 days after I was placed on that list. And I have friends that I warn right now that are being put on the list who are excited to have their transplant list. And granted, yes, I received mine fairly quickly, but I was warned, and I do warn them, that a transplant list can take some time. And, you know, when I received my transplant, I was absolutely astounded. I felt joy in the past before, but this was such a tremendous relief that I was capable of overcoming such a huge lifelong challenge, like nearly 25 years of type 1 diabetes. Shots every day, don't eat this, watch how much you exercise, did you test your blood, oh, did I just leave another strip on the floor that someone's yelling at me about because it fell out of my pocket, stuff like that. Anyways, so I ended up on the transplant list, received my kidney and pancreas transplant. Fortunately, perspectives, right? The kidney didn't take, and I ended up back on dialysis about a year after that transplant. And what's funny is, in my mind and in my heart, I thought it was a fair trade. You know, I no longer have to take shots. I can eat a Snickers bar without having to second guess or second think it. I can still function and do some of the things that I used to do. You know, I used to surf, I used to rock climb, I used to mountain bike, I used to camp all the time, you know, and granted, I don't do all those things now, mainly because of my health conditions, even though I'm improving. Doesn't mean that it's completely gone. And a lot of the stuff that I gained and learned from those experiences helped build up the optimism and life that I have. You know, I'm not angry that my kidneys failed. I'm not, you know, when I was young, I was angry that I was diabetic, but I've learned to embrace it and accept it. And I, you know, granted, I no longer have it. Oh, Mr. Pancreas, you are my friend. Yeah, it's just part of the life struggles that we deal with, you know. And I'm not saying my struggles are worse than any of yours. I'm not saying that I'm better than anyone else. I'm trying to explain that we all have things that we deal with in this life that are overwhelming. Things that on days we just can't even comprehend how to even approach whatever situation is right before us. And there are certain things we need to remember during those moments, because I get this question asked a lot, and I'll continue the story with my situation in a sec, is how am I capable of staying so optimistic? How was I capable of being so joyous in times where these struggles were rough? And, you know, don't misunderstand me. Like, I've had my roller coasters. We all have our roller coasters. I'm really, really good at setting aside, or at least hiding, my downs from people, because it's not something, like, I know people want to know when I'm not having a good day. I appreciate that. That's great. That's what friends are for, you know? But the negative things that we deal with when we share, and it's usually shared through complaints, isn't something that I like to emanate towards people. I like to emanate light. I like to emanate love. I like to emanate good, positive feelings. And these good, positive feelings is what helps people on those rough days. And if you're having a rough day and somebody comes up to you with a great big smile and high five and like, yo, buddy, and you're just that sour, like, F you, like, I don't need that crap, yada, yada, yada. Like, hey, I understand. Like, I've had those days where I didn't want to deal with anything positive because I was so overwhelmed with whatever negative I was dealing with anyways. So what I'm trying to get at is you're going to go through those roller coasters. And those roller coasters are necessary for you to understand the duality of our world. We have our ups and downs. What's key is understanding how to switch back to the positive side during those down moments. Because if you spend all your time in those lower portions of the roller coaster, that's all you're going to see. But if you learn to pick your head up and realize, oh wait, the roller coaster is going back up, that can be enjoyable. And once you learn to appreciate those drops later on, you understand that you gain a lot more from each of those experiences. Now, I received that kidney pancreas transplant when I was 30, 42 now. The kidney failed a year later, and I was placed back on the kidney transplant list at that time. It's been 10 years since I've been waiting for that transplant. I finally received it this past June 9th. So I'm going on 4 months with my second kidney transplant. And I have to say, I'm at the top of that roller coaster right now. Life is good. Sitting between 2 avocado trees on a hammock, enjoying an extremely lovely day. It's not abundantly hot. The wind is blowing. I'm relaxed in a hammock. And I'm remembering to emanate that light that we all have. Interesting thing. A lot of people wonder the things that keep me going. And it's from a movie. Yoda once said, luminous beings we are, not this crude matter. And when I watched that when I was young, that stuck with me, and it hit me really deep. Do you know why? Because at the fundamental level, the basic, most substructural level of our essence and being, we are luminous. We are light. And whatever we're dealing with on a daily basis out there, we need to remember that we are light. And if you feel like you're in the darkness, or you feel like you're lost and you're inching your way with your eyes closed and arms waiting for something to grab onto, spend a moment to emanate light from within. It's a teaching that I came across from some philosopher, some teacher, some book I read. I for the life of me, I can't remember, but it stuck with me. If you're having a bad day, if you're having a bad moment, if you have a moment, whether it's good or bad, take that moment. And if you have to, close your eyes. And envision that light coming out. You don't need to ohm. I mean, if you want to ohm, hey, by all means, go ahead and ohm. You don't need to meditate for hours on end. Don't get me wrong, those help. But if you're feeling overwhelmed and you have a moment, instead of grabbing your phone like we all do nowadays, instead of hopping online to tune out of here and tune into there, take a moment and find that light within, because that light within us is what'll guide us. We spend too much time looking for things outside to guide us, which is why, you know, I spent a lot of time on YouTube and reading books. I'm looking for guidance out elsewhere without realizing that we already have the light we need within us. And, you know, this technically fourth kidney has been working really, really well. She's been placed. She? I think it's a she. I keep getting the feeling, but I don't know. It's been placed on this side. So I got two new friends, two new parts of my little biological family that are a part of me. Where my life goes from here is still amongst the stars, but right now, right this moment, and in every moment that I can remember, even when I'm having bad days, I'm going to spend some time to emanate some light. Love light according to the raw material, but that's a separate subject. Thanks a lot for watching.